Hello, everybody. My name is Brett Leichner, and this is my Module 14 for EDL 855. Um, just a fair warning, this is going to be a little long, and Screencastify only allows me to record for 10 minutes at a time, so this is going to be broken into several different parts. So this is part one. Let's get started. So section one, what has happened or what is happening? There is a student with a history of trouble but seems to be reforming. This would be James. The principal is doing a good job of kind of reaching James. James and the principal are from the same part of town, and the principal stays late and plays basketball with James, and this seems to be helping. The other student in the situation is a model student. This would be David. David does really well academically, is a really prolific band player, and does essentially everything that you would ask a kid to do, is never in trouble. There is suspicious activity between both students that has been identified by a teacher. The teacher believes that it's drugs. So the teacher has the principal call both of the students in. When both the students come in, the principal invites the resource officer into the office as well, while the principal is interviewing both David and James. And upon a search of the students, there was brass knuckles found on Dave. James claims that he forced David to hold the brass knuckles for him because James was called to the office first. David corroborates this story. However, because of a zero tolerance policy that was put in place, both are handcuffed and arrested and taken to jail. This results in an automatic 45-day suspension from normal school activities and into an alternative education placement. And the principal does not want to sign these expulsion papers for David and decides not to. Shortly afterwards, the principal is then asked to sign the papers by the district office and told that if this doesn't occur, that there would be a reprimand in his permanent file. So that's what's going on in this situation. As far as when and where did the certain events occur, the offense occurred at school during school hours. James bullied Dave forced him into carrying the brass knuckles, and this was all during school. Section 1, who is or might be involved in or concerned by the situation, and what do the parties involved have to say about it? Obviously, David's involved with the situation. He is obviously upset that he is being kind of unjustly accused of, having these brass knuckles. I guess it's not unjustly accused, but it wasn't his idea. He was forced into it, and there's a lot of his future that rides on this decision. James is the one who forced David to carry the brass knuckles. James also is getting suspended. James kind of starts this situation. The principal, obviously, in this situation is in a really tough spot, obviously not wanting to suspend David. However, he has policy in place that he feels compelled to go with. The police, the resource officers there, went with the letter of the law, was pretty cut and dry there. The parents of both students are definitely involved. The mother of James said, let him stay in jail for a while, whereas David's mom was very upset and almost inconsolable. And then obviously the district. has a lot to be concerned about with the situation, and is a main player in the situation. Has anyone been harmed by the action or decision of another, and if so, in what way? I think David's been harmed by the action of another. He was forced to carry the brass knuckles under um, threat of physical violence against him, and because of this, he's getting expelled. So, in his young mind, he's having to decide between getting his butt kicked or being expelled. It's just an impossible situation. Also, the principal is put in a very tough situation because of decisions of others. Because of James' decision to do this to David, the principal's in a really, really tough spot that obviously he doesn't want to be in. Section 2, does the action or the situation contravene an existing law? This is a policy breach, and it is considered a felony for having possession of the brass knuckles. So this would be against the existing laws and policies of the school. Section 2, was there a breach of contract where the actions discriminatory or constituted harassment? It is a technical breach of contract for both boys. I think it's discriminatory, though, and Dave may have a case for harassment against James for being forced to hold the weapon under duress. I don't know what state this is in, but there are several laws in other states that deal with breaking the law when you're under duress, with threat of physical violence against you or someone you love. So depending on the state that they're in, they may have some legal things some law that can back them up to help David in this situation. Section 3 is synthesizing exactly what has happened or is happening in a single sentence. This is my sentence. The situation is bureaucratic injustice with a side of stupidity. Zero tolerance policies, as I'll talk about as we move on through this assignment, I can't stand them. I think they are ridiculous in many ways. This should be a situation where common sense prevails, and yet because of a dumb zero tolerance policy, a kid's future's on the line, possibly a principal's future's on the line, just for something that if common sense was there, it would be, it'd be over. It would literally be over in the principal's office. However, because all this red tape and the way our school systems work, unfortunately, this kid is going to possibly have a situation that is going to affect the rest of his life when it's not his fault. So I after reading the scenario, I was pretty heated about it because I have pretty strong feelings towards this kind of stuff. So that was my sentence. Section 4, what are the relevant known facts of the case and what facts are unknown in terms of people? I know that Dave is an honor student and he's 13 years old. Asking a 13-year-old to decide between being beat up or carrying a weapon for someone, I mean, are we seriously going to hold a 13-year-old accountable for this action whenever he was in duress? Common sense should say no. James has a history of trouble. He is 15, older, bigger, stronger, could beat Dave up. And actually does beat people up. That's one of the things that was said in the scenario, is that he is in fights quite often. The principal, Richard, does not want to expel Dave at all. Would rather not. James has been doing better, while Richard has been taking a keen interest in him. James confessed to the extortion of David. So I mean, there you have it. It's there, and the district wants to follow the letter